Hello again, everyone. Saka here, and welcome back to NASCAR Racing 2003 season. This is a 2019 mod, and we are racing at Charlotte for the longest race of the year. We're doing 40 laps here at Charlotte, and on the inside is that wreckingandracing.com podcast Toyota, driven by Brandon, who is on the pole for this race. Looking at pit stops, we got about 22 laps in the tank, and that takes us to about the halfway mark, so we need to get at least halfway if we want to make it on one stop. Of course, cautions may fall differently. We'll have to see. Row 2 is Kevin Harvick and William Byron right behind us, waiting for that green flag, and hammer down. There we go. Brandon with the good launch. We are right beside him. We'll be able to fall in line here in second. Harvick down on the bottom, get up to fourth gear, and see if we can settle in for some laps here. AI really pushing hard. Harvick right there on our back bumper. We'll see if we can carry that speed all the way down the backstretch. Harvick looking to the inside, and it looked like Almirola looking to the inside of him. The Stewart-Haas guys running well, but side by side allows us to open up that gap just a bit. Brandon will lead lap 1, and we will clear third place just by a bit. And one lap down, 39 to go. This is definitely a long race, and tire conservation is the name of the game. On 3X tire wear, the tires get chewed up pretty evenly around all four corners of the race car. Definitely a 4-tire change is going to be needed, and a full 2 cans of fuel if we make it to halfway, just to make sure that we are topped off and good to go to the end. Almirola falls into third, and we're starting to gap the field just a little bit. Brandon leads lap 2. And we're holding station pretty well. Car loose on entry there. We washed up just a bit. Brandon does as well. We'll hook that bottom on the inside of turn 2. There's that little dip that if you can be full throttle when you hit that dip, it pivots the car. It keeps the car planted and allows you to carry all that speed down the back straightaway. Turns 3 and 4 is where we're weaker compared to Brandon. He'll gap us a bit down this front dog leg. And Almirola holding station in third. A little bit, we're losing a little bit of ground on Brandon. We gain it into turn 1 and 2 usually. He washes up the racetrack just a bit to that second groove. He may be able to carry some speed down the straightaway. We'll get a little sniff of draft. No big screen over there in the grass area there. This is 2002 Charlotte, of course. And Almirola seems to have gapped 4th place just a bit. So Almirola running nearly identical lap times to us. Not really falling back, but not really gaining either. But 4th place on back seems to be having a real nightmare, whether their tires are falling off or whether they're conserving. Who's to say? But we'll definitely be on the lookout for any yellows that come out. And being this is a long race, we'll definitely be looking forward to lap traffic and seeing if we can navigate lap traffic cleanly, especially after pit stops. We're gaining quite a bit of time on the back markers. So, as we rotate through, we will probably be in quite a bit of traffic upon exit. Almirola closed up the gap a bit there off of turn 1 and 2. He gained a few car lengths on us, and we gained a few car lengths on Brandon. But once again, not really pushing the car as hard to 100%, just keeping a quick pace and keeping it off of the wall. The most important thing, we don't want to have to fix any damage on that stop, just in case it is a green flag run. We don't want to spend any extra seconds on pit road repairing damage. Right now, a 2-second loss would drop us back to about 6th or 7th place. So we definitely do not want to do that. Almirola creeping up in the mirror. Looks like he's having a good turns 3 and 4. Brandon not really hooking that white line. He's using sort of a diamond approach, drifting up into the middle and then arcing down to the bottom and carrying that speed off. But glad that he's not running away from us. We're holding station, and as long as we're within a few car lengths, we're within pouncing range if things go awry. Just like Almirola is a few car lengths behind us, ready to pounce just in case we make a mistake. So keeping each other honest up here. It looks like 4th place may be creeping up just a little bit. I can't tell who that is. Possibly William Byron having a good run. He already has 1 win this year from the Daytona 500, the first race of the year, so he is in the championship 16 for sure. But Almirola, he doesn't have a win, but as of now, he has the most points accumulated by any driver without a win. So Almirola is actually a few races ahead. He can have a few mulligans and still be in the top 16 running very well. And Brandon up, scrapes the wall a bit. Let's see if we can close the gap. And we can indeed. We might be able to set him up in turns 1 and 2 here. That right side looks a little bit pancake. We'll try to hold that bottom as best we can, hit that little bump there, and we touch the apron just a bit. That got us sliding out of the groove. But yeah, you can see those tires on the right side of Brandon's car is sticking out just a little bit outside the body. So some right side damage. It just depends on if Brandon spends some time to fix that. Really loose off for Brandon there. We'll carry that speed and momentum down, and Almirola seemed to drop out of the fight just as fast as he appeared. So we will make the pass, and we didn't lead that lap, but we'll try to lead this one coming up and seeing what we can do. Brandon may get us into 3 and 4 here. We'll run as conservative as we usually do. If he gets a spot on us, we'll let him go. It's definitely not the point in the race to fight back hard. And Brandon looks like he has an ill-handling car off of 4. Perhaps that right rear is burned up a bit and he can't get the power down. He may be cooling off his tires, and he'll be just as lethal after the pit stops with 4 fresh ones for sure. I believe everyone is going to be on the 4-tire strategy when we come down pit road, especially if this goes green the whole way. Everyone's fuel tank will be about bone dry, so you might as well take 4 tires, especially sliding around the track as we are. And Brandon off the wall again. I heard a little scrape off of turn 4. We'll be able to gap him a little bit more, and hopefully we'll have a good 1 and 2 exchange here and pull that distance just a bit. But so far so good. No lap traffic out front and maintaining pace on the field. Just settling in here, trying to click off laps and keep the car under us. We definitely don't want to drift up and hit that wall, so I'm extra conservative on the exit of 4 as that banking drops off to the flat. It upsets the balance of the car quite aggressively, and that's what gets you in trouble. And we're able to hook the white line a little bit better. Brandon drifts up to that second groove. That looks like that's his preferred way to run. 1 and 2 is to charge the corner a little bit, let the car drift up, and then get back to the power and hook the car down to the bottom. Indeed, he does that diamond approach. We're bottom feeders, definitely keeping on the white line as much as we can. Just the difference in driving styles. Over the course of a run, we don't differ too awful much as far as the lap counter goes on the stopwatch. Maybe a 10th here or there. Brandon holding station about 3 or 4 car lengths back, but Almirola is completely out of the picture. We're pulling away from 3rd. We have quite the lead, which gives me the warm and fuzzies. Coming down to pit road, we'll be able to get on pit road and not have to worry about people knocking down our rear bumper getting to pit road. Of course, if the yellow were to come out, that would change everything. So, always crew on the wall ready to go just in case. If the yellow were to come out now, probably 4 tires and fuel as much as we can, and then we would have to think about maybe a 2-tire change or maybe fuel only with a few laps to go. The further we can get into this run, the better. I'm going to start looking on the left-hand side to see if any AI takers are coming down pit road, maybe doing a split strategy, maybe a 2-stopper. Usually 2-stoppers don't work on quick laps such as Charlotte, but on a wider track such as Pocono or something of that nature, you may be able to get away with a 2-stop race if everyone else is doing 1. Just overcome the delta with sheer speed. But we'll see when that time comes and we do the Pocono double. Good run into turn 1 here. Brandon's dropping back a bit. Car is really loose still. There's a little bit of counter steer in the middle of turns 1 and 2 that we have to contend with. It's just trying to be as smooth as we possibly can. A little loose there. We got back to the throttle really well coming off of turn 4. and staying off that wall, the most important part. We're starting to really get that gap out. Feeling like Jeff Gordon in the T-Rex car here just a bit. The car feels really good throughout this run. Of course, we are slowing down each lap. I believe we'll lose about a second to a second and a half over these 20 laps as far as lap time is concerned, but everyone else is in the same boat, and it looks like the AI are more affected by that tire fall off than we are, but cars are on pit road looking to the left, so it'll only be a few more laps until we're on pit road about the halfway mark of this race. And it will definitely be 4 tires and fill it up with gas as much as we can. This race has a green look to it. So unless someone gets really out of shape coming on or off pit road, everyone should cycle back around just fine. Keeping on the throttle, those AI may have pit a little bit too early. They have basically a 2-lap window that they can pit, and I believe Brandon has gotten on pit road. I don't see him in the mirror anymore, so we're going 1 lap further. That's going to allow Brandon to be quicker over this 1 lap, and he may actually be able to pass us if we have a slow pit stop or what have you. But settling in behind the 37 here, and we'll get it down to pit road speed, 3,500 in second gear right there. And we don't want to be busted for speeding, so it'll be just a skosh over 3,000 RPM without definite 500 markers on the tack. I don't feel comfortable really pushing that pit road speed. It looks like the AI are doing 4 tires as well, and Jimmy Johnson decides to come out and block our pit road entry. That's going to slow us up a bit. But 4 tires and fuel, boys. Let's go. $17 down and away, looks like the 95 of Christopher Bell. Everything is cycling through. I don't see any yellow lights on the wall going off. Sort of drop the clutch just a bit. Get it going off of that concrete. Very tough to accelerate. And looking in the mirror, there goes the 32 of LaJoy. So that is a gap to be put a lap down essentially. And really loose on the apron, and here comes Brandon off of turn 2. He's got the full head of steam coming down the backstretch. We'll get up to 4th gear as best we can and settle in. So Brandon did indeed catch up quite a bit, probably 2 or 3 seconds over that exchange. Me being a bit conservative on pit road and Jimmy Johnson blocking our way in certainly didn't help matters much at all. So I don't know if Brandon fixed his right side damage or if he took the time to do that, but he's got the speed, and we have to get our tires up to temperature and equalize as much as we can on these first few laps, because he is in full race mode, and he is really hugging that white line, looking like the car is handling much better this time around than last time. Possibly some adjustments on his behalf. I don't know if I would have loosened it up if I was pushing in the middle of the corner. You don't want to hurt your exit speed, and by fixing the middle, you might hurt your exit. But settling in, we have a gap, and I mean, lap traffic is in front of us, and we're only halfway through this race, or a little over. So Corey LaJoy, the 15 of Brennan Poole, will definitely be in our strike zone for sure. And if Brandon can maintain this gap, anything can happen with lap traffic. We've seen it happen time and time again throughout the year, that we catch lap traffic, and all of a sudden we have to slow down, we have to adjust our line, we have to slow up tremendously. But with everyone cycling through and everyone pitting at just about the halfway mark, I don't think we're going to get any surprises as far as AI pitting, doing any sort of split strategy, or really messing up our line. So it's just pass them when we catch them and do our best to stay out front. Turn 1 and 2 really loose on entry, and kind of that lazy slide off of turn 2. We got the power down, but the car was not sort of going in a straight line anymore. It sort of had some lateral movement, really scrubbing some speed off to the side. But we are catching that 32 and that 15. If they get battling side by side in front of us, that will slow them both down tremendously, and we will catch them even quicker than we are now. As far as third place is concerned, I don't see anyone behind us within striking distance. And as expected, Corey LaJoie looks under the 15. Hopefully he can complete that pass by the time we get up to him. But we're going to take a few seconds out of that gap right here. And indeed, LaJoie does get around the 15. One more lap in the books. We had a better series that time. Looks like Brandon dropped back a few more car lengths. So fairly even. It comes down to the little mistakes you make on a lap-by-lap basis. He may close up on us one lap. We may lose him a little bit on the next, but maintaining an average for sure. And there's the 15 now peeking inside the windshield in the corners. That's when we know that we are catching a sniff of the draft, and we have to really start driving heads up just in case he takes an offline or decides to do something crazy. Can't count out that 15 to do something nuts. We've seen some interesting moves on Brendan Poole's behalf throughout this year. Driving that high line, we missed that white line. We'll see if Brandon can close up the gap a little bit on corner exit. But we're starting to get the pull off the 15, off of Poole, no pun intended. Does he drive the bottom? Yes, indeed. So we'll try that outside line. We'll see if we can get a fender to his outside and complete that pass on the straightaway. It sort of messed with our line a little bit, but I believe Brandon's car may be a bit too loose. He really lost some time there, and now he has to deal with that 15. If we're running very similar setups and we're pretty loose, so I can just imagine if he's really putting in the tire temperature, what he is feeling. Luckily, LaJoie gives us the bottom as we go around under turns 1 and 2. Brandon is clear of the 15 now, and it's up to the 00 of Quinn Houff. Perhaps he'll run the bottom here. We'll set up to the outside and just take that approach. Indeed, he does take the bottom. We'll try to rim right around and not hit the wall. Okay, so far so good. And only 2 more lap cars in front of us in danger of going a lap in the next few laps. Looks like possibly Suarez and Bell. And Brandon is right there in that hornet's nest with Quinn Houff and Corey LaJoie. It looked like LaJoie went to pass Quinn Houff, and Brandon was caught between both of them, and both of them slow. Brandon looks like he gave the body check to the 32. He looked like he was way up top, but we gained quite a bit of time on that exchange. Got through lap traffic a bit cleaner, and that's what I was talking about. That could happen to either one of us. The lap cars causing an issue. For example, if Bell decides to pass Suarez like he's doing now, and they don't complete the pass on each other, that's going to slow me up and bring Brandon right back in. I need that 95 to pass Suarez as quickly as possible. Really loose on corner exit. We lost a lot of speed there. If Brandon had a good turn 3 and 4, he'll close that gap a bit. And the 95 looks like he will get around. Nope, Suarez fights back on the high side, Bell on the low. We're going to have to take these guys 3 wide, get that head of steam. Luckily, Bell was a little bit further ahead. Suarez rolls out of it and gives the spot to Bell. That was a little bit hairy, but we had to do it to make sure that Brandon didn't close up the gap too much. We saw what lap traffic did as far as Quinn Houff and Corey LaJoie did back there. Now, if Bell can get away from Suarez, Brandon can pass them one at a time. But time is running out, and I do not believe these cars in front of us will be any sort of trouble for us coming down to the end of the race. If we do catch them, we might have to weigh the option of passing or not. Definitely do not want to put ourselves into a terrible position. Looks like maybe is that the 2 of Keselowski in the Money Lion car? Old Brad not having a good run here, and I think I saw the 43 of Bubba Wallace right in front of him. There's a little bit of contested track up in front, so if that becomes a 3 or 4 car battle, that's going to really slow them up. Brandon is around the 96 now. So only a few more laps to go, and Brandon is about 2 to 3 seconds back. So we do have a bit of a gap. We have some breathing room. Of course, this is me we're talking about. At any time, I could slide out of control or smack the wall or something. It definitely isn't over until it is over. So we'll do what we can to keep it off the wall and out of the way of those lapped cars in front of us here. So possibly in the next few laps, we'll be able to get on that back bumper. And I believe that is the 2. I'm not sure. Can't see too awful well. But the car is still very loose. It hasn't tightened up over this run at all. In fact, it's probably gotten a little bit looser on corner entry. So we'll really have to take care. I believe that may be the 13 of Ty Dillon, and cars on pit road. So some cars that pitted way earlier on pit road again with just a few laps to go, that is really going to throw some positions out of whack. And if any of those drivers were in the top 16 and barely hanging on to a transfer spot, that may shuffle some drivers completely out of the transfer spot. And yes, indeed, that is the 13 of Ty Dillon. And Brandon is back there a bit. Dillon and Bubba Wallace on pit road. That was unexpected, but one more lap to go, and the mirror is pretty clear. But putting Kurt Busch a lap down, and you know, he isn't guaranteed a spot, so that is detrimental to him. We see Ryan Newman down there as well. We don't have to push too hard off of 3 and 4. We won't get up to the 17 of Buescher. But a solid drive from us. That will be our 6th win of the year. Pretty clean, and the lap cars definitely made it a little bit hairier than it should have been for sure. So let's take a look at the top 10 as it stands, everyone. So we were in first. In second place is Brandon with that beaten and bashed right-hand side, so he chose not to do those repairs under green. In third place, wow, where is third? 12th, 35th, third, Kevin Harvick. 4th, Jimmy Johnson. 14th, 16th, 17th, 18th. So 6th was Eric Jones. 7th was John Hunter Nemechek with the top 10. 8th place was Chris Buescher, who we were about to put a lap down, so only 8 cars on the lead lap after that exchange. And yeah, we can't even find third. There we go. So Kevin Harvick in third. In 4th place, Jimmy Johnson. In 5th place, we have Alex Bowman. In 6th place, we have Eric Jones. 7th place, John Hunter Nemechek. 8th place right there in Chris Buescher. 9th place will be... I really don't know. So a terrible exchange. One thing that I wanted to see is if Brandon did indeed body check the 32 out of the way. Let's see if we can find when he was battling with this lap right here, I believe. Yeah, LaJoie was up into the wall. So a spirited side-by-side battle there. Brandon trying to get around the 32, who was not giving him the time of day. And up into the wall, the 32 goes. Unfortunately, that right side damage didn't help. But we'll be moving on. Let's take a look at the standings after Charlotte. That is our 6th win of the year. Brandon with 3. Harvick, Kyle Busch, William Byron, and Boyer with 1 apiece. Almirola now 2 solid races ahead, as well as Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Jimmy Johnson, Tyler Reddick, and Truex, and even Chase Elliott 1 race ahead. Cutoff driver is Kurt Busch, 1 behind Joey Logano, 3 behind Austin Dillon, and Eric Jones within shouting distance, 3 back. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 10 down, Keselowski 26 down, and Chris Buescher 1 race behind. Kyle Larson has officially dropped out of the points, but that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week at the very fast, very fun Kansas Speedway. Take care.